The cold air just before sunrise rustled through the rocks. A faint crimson glow had barely spread across the dark sky when Arrow's eyes slowly opened. He gazed at the sky for a few moments, witnessing that first hue of morning that announced the beginning of every new day. Around him, his small band was still fast asleep, huddled close together on soft beds of leaves. As Arrow stepped out of the cave, the cool breeze met his face. On the distant horizon, a golden light began to spread, and in his hand glinted the sharp-edged stone tool, the very one he had shaped himself, worth no less to him than a treasure. Soon, the other members began to stir. The clan elder, Korag, was already busy shaping stones. Arrow sat beside him, watching intently. There was a rhythm to Korag's every strike. Slow, controlled, and rich with experience. He lifted a large stone and struck it at the precise spot. A sharp flake fell away, revealing the stone's inner luster. Arrow tried as well, but his first stone fractured incorrectly. Korag gently guided him again, and after a short while, Arrow was fashioning a beautiful, sharp tool. The sun had now fully risen, and today everyone was to go on a hunt. Arrow, Korag, and 2 other hunters took the lead. Their eyes were alert to even the slightest rustle of leaves. Suddenly, in the distance, a small puff of dust rose. Korag raised his hand, signaling everyone to halt. Crouching in the grass, they spotted a small wild boar ahead, a significant source of meat for them. Arrow moved forward slowly, controlling his breathing. The moment the boar lifted its head, Arrow lunged. The other hunters dashed after him. The boar began to flee, Korag threw a stone to divert its path. Seizing the opportunity, Arrow threw his tool with all his might. It struck the boar directly in the shoulder, and the beast collapsed.
Pride was evident on everyone's faces at the hunt's success. Arrow retrieved his tool, wiped the blood off with grass, and a faint smile spread across his face. Korag placed a hand on his shoulder, as if to say, "Today you saved the tribe." On the way back to the cave, the scent of soil and grass mingled in the air, creating a wild, earthy sensation. Children ran out shouting with joy to welcome them. The women set about preparing the fire. The collective effort of the men and women turned the day into a celebration. By evening, the meat was cooked. Everyone sat around the fire and ate their fill. When the meal was over, the children began listening to the elders' stories. Korag told them that hunting was not just about strength, but a test of patience. Aro, staring silently into the flames, thought to himself, today he had climbed the first step toward living up to his people's expectations. The night grew deeper, and the sky filled with stars. Aro looked up. He felt as though his ancestors were watching him from those very heavens. Everyone returned to their beds. A gentle breeze flowed through the cave. Outside, some animal called out, but the clan was safe. Aro drifted into sleep. Tomorrow was a new day, bringing with it new challenges.
The first rays of morning spread a golden glow within the cave. Aro woke and looked outside. The sky was painted in hues of orange and blue. The morning was so beautiful that he forgot all about yesterday's fatigue. Children were running on the grass. Women were gathering herbs. And Korag had once again sat down to shape stones. Aro sat down beside him. Today, the atmosphere was different. Korag looked more serious than usual. He picked up a long, slender stone and said, "Today, you will learn to make a spear point." This art was difficult. Holding the stone at the correct angle was the hardest part. The slightest incorrect pressure and the entire stone could shatter. Aro observed Korag's technique closely. Slow pressure, then a light strike. This time, the stone yielded a perfect flake. A proud smile appeared on Korag's face. For the first time, Aro felt that he could be more than just a hunter. He could be a craftsman, too. Korag placed a hand on his shoulder and said, "Soon you will fashion an entire spear by yourself." As the day progressed, they sat together shaping the spear point. With every strike, Aro's confidence grew, as if he were carving his own future. Two hours later, the spear point was ready. Aro held it in his hands and gently felt its edge. The sunlight made the stone glint as if nature itself was honoring his hard work. The afternoon heat was gradually rising, but the shade of the acacia trees spreading behind the cave offered the clan relief. Aro, holding the new spear point, looked at it repeatedly, his face filled with pride and hope. Suddenly, a flock of birds taking flight all at once from the direction of the plains caught everyone's attention. Such a sudden flight of birds always signaled a major disturbance. The women immediately looked toward Korak. Korag's eyes narrowed. Everyone stay close. Something big is out there. Moments later, the ground trembled slightly. A rhythmic, heavy vibration. It was as if giant footsteps were striking the earth. Aro looked at the ground. Small pebbles were jumping. This was no ordinary predator. This was something much larger. Crashing through the bushes, a colossal wild buffalo, a Pelorovis, emerged. Its massive curved horns spanned the width of two men's outstretched arms. Thick knots of muscle bulged at its shoulders. Its eyes glowed red, and with every breath, clouds of dusty steam erupted from its nostrils. This beast was not just huge, its aggression was unpredictable. And if it attacked, the entire tribe could be crushed. Korag spoke in a low, taut voice. Slowly, move back. But the buffalo's gaze fell first on Aro. Perhaps it was his movement, his youthful energy, or simply fate. The Pelorovis stamped its hoof on the ground. Dust flew up. Tension charged the air like electricity. Then it charged straight at Aro with a deafening roar. "Aro, to the tree on the right!" Korag shouted. Aro's heart wasn't just beating, it was pounding against his ribs, pushing him forward. He sprinted toward the bushes, but the buffalo was running with such power that the ground shook beneath them. Korag picked up a large rock and hurled it at the buffalo with all his might. The rock struck its horn, and the beast flinched for a moment. Its direction shifted, and it turned toward Korag. This was the moment. Aro stopped. He gripped his spear tightly with both hands. There was no fear within him now, only a razor-sharp clarity.
Their long spears struck near the buffalo's ribs and neck. The Pelorovis fought on for a few more steps in agony, thrashing its horns in the air, before its massive body crashed to the ground with a thunderous thud. For a few moments, silence descended upon the scene. Korag approached him slowly, his face showing a mixture of concern and pride. He grasped Aro's shoulder and said, "Today, you are no longer just a hunter. You have saved the tribe." Aro's breathing slowed, but something within him had awakened, a deep inner strength, a new identity. The sun began to set in the sky. A crimson glow began to spread across the plains. The air carried that distinct scent of victory and survival that can only be felt on days like this.